Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio for this? I'm thinking. Thanks. Thanks, Jim. Hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is Monday, the 19th of June. I can't believe we're almost towards the end of June. We have another week this week and then next week. Wow. Anyway, we've had some kind of interesting things this morning. I know we've got a lot of NQ traders in here, and the indices are all kind of drifting in the same direction, but they sure haven't. That NQ has really not been very easy. It's put in for the last, it's just starting its fourth 30-minute candle. It may get a little more enthusiastic here, but I looked at it once and it had two 30-minute dojis. That's just almost impossible to trade unless you get good premium for a premium collection. One of the insects or the birds or whatever. I know Jack likes to do those. But what you're looking for those is it going nowhere in a big hurry. So gold has done pretty much the same thing. Gold was tradable off of the high, but that was right when the pit opened this morning, and it's everything's kind of slogging along. Finally, we got a move we could trade off of crude oil this morning. And I wanted to show you one of the reasons that I keep this histogram. It's just easier for me to see it. I keep like a whole little dashboard thing of charts because if I get too much stuff on one chart, I get paralyzed with decision making. But I really like the histogram on the OP chart. But you could see if you were taking it right here off of the green, well, a great place to take it. You don't know this mini magnet is going to form on this reversal bar until it does. But a good entry spot here is the green ice. And then you have to realize that because there was so much volume right in here, about 88, 89, 90-ish, right in here, the volume went all the way out. This was the highest volume of the last session. So if you do this and you get through settlement, and you have to ask yourself, okay, where is it going? Well, when you look at the volume, this histogram is showing you right here about where it's going to go. Now, it can push down to this, I have the swings, the swing high and swing low on this chart also, just to keep the other thing cleaner. But the most likely place for it to go is right here where this low volume was last session. And what do we have? It's putting in a cluster over here on this bar. So these things all, it's a matter of getting coordinated and kind of sometimes I think it's like trying to juggle about 4 balls in the air at the same time. But once you develop your eye to this stuff, it does show you the way. That's for darn sure. This move down, this one bar with 23,000 after it's had a couple of 5,000s, I thought it would put in a cluster right in here, but it didn't. And all of a sudden, if you were in that trade and practicing your peeing, starting with patience, it burst. And crude oil will do that sometimes, and gold will do that. It hovers and hovers and hovers, and then all of a sudden it just blasts. So anyway, patience does pay. That's why we pee. And let's see. YM seemed to me to be a little bit easier to trade this morning. It did have a nice move right at the open, or couple, I don't know, what was that, 15 minutes later. And it came almost off the high of last session. It almost touched that, and then it came off of that. So the big mover of the morning has been Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar got real happy this morning. And so people that like the currencies, also, if you're trying to kind of get a feel for what the relativity is with some of these markets, there is a classic between the US dollar and the euro. The US dollar has climbed and the euro, it trades inversely to it, and it's just like a 30-minute candle for 30-minute candle. It really illustrates how those two trade inverse of each other. And if you ever look at those and they're not, there is something going on. So normally they will trade really closely to with an inverse relationship. And so I've also find crude oil, this high that it put in of the day it went up here and tested it, but it is very, very reluctant to break this 45.30 area. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. If it does break this later this week, then it will go on up. I've got a weekly magnet up here someplace. I thought I did. I put one on. Some of these things did not hold over the last shutdown. I'll get them back on there for you, for myself as well. Anyway, I think that's about it. There isn't really any change in the VIX. I mean, it'll be, a big deal when it gets to 11. The crude oil went down and hit a major level around 44.60. So we'll see if that holds. Right in there was the low of the last couple three sessions. And if you notice on that OP chart, the volume just flat dried up right in that area between 70 and 75. A little bit came in at 60, but not a heck of a lot. So tomorrow morning, the early bird crowd, you guys ought to be pretty happy. Tomorrow morning, we've got some of these the Swiss bank governor and the Bank of England. They're speaking tomorrow morning, 2:30 and 3:30 Eastern time, and those are significant speeches. So if you trade the Swiss franc or the pound or any of the pairs related to that, 2:30 and 3:30 tomorrow morning ought to give you some movement in those things. And at 8 o'clock tomorrow, we have one of the FOMAC people is going to speak, but I'm not sure if that will move anything too significantly. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, not a heck of a lot happening, but that's Tuesday. So economic releases tend to come out a little stronger on Thursday with crude oil, Wednesday with crude oil inventory, and then Thursday and Friday, that early morning, 8:30 news releases, those can move some markets. So anyway, if you have had a very difficult time this morning reading some of this stuff, and we've had a lot of good posts in the chat with some very good questions, this has just not been an easy morning. That's all there is to it. But this portends typical summer. Morning trading like this in the summertime, especially on Mondays, can be it can be very very low volume. Volume's dropped off of gold. Those guys are all done for the day. Volume was never very much in crude oil today. It came up a little bit, but not like it can. The volume in YM is dropping off. So this is typical of summer. So don't get discouraged and think, oh, good grief, nothing's moving. I don't know what to do here. This is if you have a favorite, this is why Daryl recommends that you start with one and learn to read all of your signals that you like and that are easy for you to see, and then add a second market with the goal in mind that when you get through with adding, you will have 3 markets that you watch: one index, one commodity, and one currency. And the theory of that is that they can't all be doing nothing at the same time, especially in the morning. But this is quite a large elephant, and you just have to eat it one bite at a time. So don't get in a hurry with any of this stuff. It does take time. And the biggest thing about trading that I have found, and we all fight this, is patience. I've really worked on my own patience since the first of the year, and I've been very, very focused on that, and I notice I'm getting better. I hope I'm getting better. At least I do have patience, and I know Lori has focused on that also, and she's gotten a lot better, because Lori used to scalp just to keep herself trading, because she didn't have a heck of a lot of patience, but she's gotten a lot better. It also comes with confidence. So you just have to keep on keeping on. That's how we all will manage to get anything done. Anyway, ask your questions and post your charts, because when the markets are moving slowly like this, this is a great time to get help with every little thing that you've been struggling with or that you've had a question about. Just jump in and go for it, because there's always somebody in the room to help out. So anyway, this has